Hello, my name is Ryan Aragon, and currently I'm a second-year PA student at South University, West Palm Beach. And today we're going to be talking about physical activity, and now we could use that as the foundation of building a healthier lifestyle. So, come along with me. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about today is the concept behind Healthy People 2030. What is it and what exactly are we trying to accomplish? So basically, the basis of Healthy People 2030 is to establish habits that will improve overall health over the course of the next decade with the goal of improving quality of life and inspiring the next generation to practice healthier habits. Now, specifically in this topic, we're going to look at physical activity in early ages from ages 10 to 18 and how that could be life-changing for an individual and change the course of their entire life. Also, today we will look at the impact that aerobic training / strength training will have on mental health, cognitive awareness, school performance, and lowering the rates of long-term disease in adolescents. So now that we know what Healthy People 2030 is, let's dive a little deeper and look at the population I targeted. So my Healthy People 2030 objective was to increase the proportion of adolescents who do enough aerobic and muscle strength training activities to help improve overall quality of life. My target audience was adolescents ages 10 to 18 in Florida, so essentially middle schoolers and high schoolers. Now, throughout this presentation, we're going to hit on three main points. First point is I'm going to show you how to perform the three basic movements that are essential to the foundation of maintaining good exercise habits and how we could use these movements as a foundation and enhance overall health and performance. Secondly, I'm going to show you how strength training and physical activity can improve school performance and the positive effect it could have on long-term mental health. And lastly, I'm going to show you how exercise is essential to the prevention of long-term diseases such as cardiovascular disease and diabetes, and how important it is to follow a heart-healthy diet. So, before we get down to the nitty-gritty, let me tell you a little bit about myself. So, as you can see on the right, I grew up in beautiful northern Colorado in a little town called Meade. It's okay, no one knows where it's at. There, I participated in soccer, track, basketball, you name it. Growing up, soccer was my life. It was my main sport, and unfortunately, my senior year, before I ended up going to college, I ended up tearing my ACL, and it was devastating for me. But kind of a blessing in disguise because that's where I first learned about the PA profession and where my life truly changed forever. I ended up attending Fort Hays State University to play soccer in 2015 while I was recovering from my injury. And then eventually I transferred to CSU the very next year in Colorado, where I got my degree in sports and exercise science in 2019. A little more background is that I've been coaching high school and club soccer since 2015, and while it's not the same as being an athlete, over the years I've seen how much it could do for students, and it's really opened up my eyes to how powerful it could be to teach and to be part of something bigger. And as you will see throughout this presentation, this topic really hits home for me because carrying my ACL, I went through a lot of the things we're going to talk about today. I went through the mental health issues. I went through the lack of school performance. I wasn't following healthy habits, and it really wore on me. But it was that rehab, the exercise, eating healthier, which really got me through it, which is why this topic is so important to me. So, I know I kind of briefly mentioned it last slide, but let's talk about the PA profession and what it is. So essentially, a physician assistant is a licensed health professional that provides direct patient care by diagnosing illnesses, developing treatment plans, and implementing those treatment plans to ensure quality patient care in almost every specialty. PAs work in a variety of healthcare settings, including family practice, surgery, cardio, neurology, pulmonary, urgent care, and some are even attached to sports teams. So PAs are very diverse in what they could do and are an essential part of bridging the gap in healthcare today. Now we're going to look at some population statistics and see why this issue is so important. So currently, 1 out of 4 public high school students in Florida are overweight or obese due to a lack of physical activity. Also, physical inactivity, which is defined as less than 150 minutes a week of moderate activity, was roughly 51% in adolescents in Florida in 2021 compared to the US average, which was around 43%. While a lack of exercise can affect us physically, it can also affect us mentally as well. I looked at a survey conducted in 2020 on high school and middle school students in Florida, and it saw that nearly 42% of these students who didn't participate in physical activity daily were unhappy with their school experience, compared to the 10% who did participate in daily physical activity, who reaped the benefits of having a healthier mindset. Now, if you couldn't tell from the first few slides, I'm kind of obsessed with sports and working out. So today, we're going to take a look at some of the greatest athletes of this generation and show how each of these athletes represents one of the main topics we're going to discuss today as it relates to physical activity, including mental health, school performance, and long-term health. Now, while each of these athletes is great in their own right, what people don't know is the hardships they had to go through to become who they are today. And while sports and working out wasn't the only reason they were able to overcome their childhood struggles, it was the principles and work ethic they learned from those experiences that truly set them apart and made them some of the greatest athletes of all time. Now let's take a look at the battle of mental health as it relates to LeBron James. Ever since high school, LeBron has been seen as a bigger-than-life figure and is arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time. Yet people forget how hard life was growing up for him. LeBron's mother, Gloria, had LeBron when she was 16, and his father, Anthony, was a criminal that left when LeBron was really young, which left him and his mother to fend for themselves. Growing up, they would move 6 to 7 times a year just to find a warm place to sleep and eat. And besides struggling to go to school every day, LeBron had to deal with the hardships of his community in Akron, Ohio at the time, including gun violence, drugs, and even killings. The amount of mental strain forced upon LeBron at such a young age was something no kid should ever have to deal with, and could have led him down a dark path. Yet exercise and sports was his savior. LeBron's football coach, Frank Walker, took LeBron under his wing and not only gave him a place to sleep, but opened the door for him to play basketball. LeBron would come in every day at 6 before school to get a workout in and would stay late. His work ethic was truly unmatched. LeBron ended up becoming an excellent student, and basketball and working out gave him the hope and motivation to change his life forever. He learned important life lessons such as teamwork, confidence, leadership, and determination that have made him the successful athlete and person he is today. Today, LeBron runs the LeBron James Family Foundation, which donates to several charities that help students go to college, provides families housing, and even provides food and school supplies throughout the year. Not bad for someone who grew up in a small town in Akron, Ohio, who had the odds stacked against him. Yet it was one small act of kindness from his former coach that made all the difference. Working out gave LeBron purpose and kept him motivated to become the best version of himself while excelling in school and improving his mental health. Also, being a part of a team taught him things such as leadership and compassion that has made him the amazing person he is today. So while not everyone will become a pro athlete, working out gives you the chance to focus on becoming the best version of yourself while learning valuable lessons along the way. Additionally, being part of a team makes you feel connected to other people, which not only improves your mental health, but can give you lifelong friends that can change your entire life. Mental health affects everything we do, and if something as simple as working out could help you, then you have to ask yourself, why wouldn't I do it? Let's move on and look at a case study. Growing up, I know how hard being a teenager could be at times, and getting through the ups and downs of high school is no easy task. While growing up and being a teenager can be exciting, it can also cause a lot of undue stress and anxiety. One way to release some of that anxiety is physical activity because it allows you to step away from the world around you and immerse yourself in something totally away from everything else. Now, this particular case study looked at 9 studies between 2016 and 2021 and analyzed the effects of aerobic and strength training on mental health, specifically depression and anxiety. 8 of them reported a beneficial effect of training with different modes of strength intervention on depression levels, while 7 of them found a positive correlation between aerobic training and decreased anxiety levels. Also, within the study, they found that perceived depression after about 6 weeks of daily exercise of at least 30 minutes a day decreased by 17% from baseline, while anxiety decreased by nearly 21% in the same time frame. The daily exercise included things such as aerobic and strength training activities that were either done with light weights or body weight exercises. Essentially, the results from the study show that exercise and strength training can have positive benefits when it comes to mental health. And besides decreasing depression and anxiety, exercise allows our minds to shut down for a bit and kind of go blank. Speaking from experience, whenever I'm feeling down or having a bad day, I go for a run because it allows me to get away from my stress and kind of reset my perspective. Without exercise, I have no idea where my mental health would look like today. Now, while exercise and strength training has immediate effects such as improved cardiovascular health and mental health, it also has long-term benefits as well. Research has shown that working out, along with improved mental health, correlates to a higher resting metabolism and helps to prevent long-term diseases such as diabetes and obesity. Additionally, just like we talked about on the previous slide, physical activity decreases the stress and anxiety on your body, which in turn leads to a lower heart rate and blood pressure. Lower heart rates and blood pressures have been associated with decreased risk of long-term cardiovascular disease mortality. Essentially, the more you work out, the less likely you are to develop what we call atherosclerosis, which is when fatty plaques clog your arteries and cause a bevy of cardiovascular issues. Finally, exercise leads to being part of something bigger. Physical activity leads to things such as team sports and increased social interactions. Hanging out with teammates and participating in after-school activities is a perfect way to make new friends and influences positive thoughts while simultaneously building relationships that could last you a lifetime. To this day, I still have a group chat with former teammates and friends from high school that I met through sports or after-school activities, and whenever I'm feeling down or have exciting news, those guys are always there to pick me up or congratulate me on my successes. Having a strong support system is key when it comes to mental health, and becoming active and getting involved are simple things we can do to make your life easier and enrich your life in a way you may never thought was possible. Now, while physical activity can increase your mental health, it can also have a positive impact on your school performance. We turn to the story of Herschel Walker and how he's the poster boy when it comes to how physical activity can have a dramatic impact on the results that happen when you're in the classroom. Walker grew up in Georgia where he was bullied, beaten up, and called fat every day during his time in school. It was so bad that he used to give his classmates his lunch money every day just so they wouldn't make fun of him. Walker lacked confidence, motivation, and struggled to pass the 5th grade despite being a very intelligent, bright young boy. When Walker first entered middle school, he discovered weight training and decided to try out for the football team, which changed his life forever. In the matter of 1 year, Walker transformed from a chubby kid with no confidence to a top-tier athlete who was at the top of his class in every subject. Walker ended up graduating valedictorian of his high school class 6 years later and went on to play running back for Georgia football team, where he won the Heisman Trophy in 1982. Walker went on to be a Football Hall of Famer and even recently ran for the United States Senate in 2022. Walker is a perfect example of how impactful exercise can be when it comes to school performance. Working out gave Walker the confidence and motivation he needed not only to change how he looked, but to change his focus in the classroom. He always had the tools to be a successful student, but it was the dedication and perseverance of working out every day that gave him the confidence and motivation to be the best version of himself and eventual valedictorian of his class. Walker sums it up perfect in a quote he had back in 2019 when he said, "PE teaches physical literacy skills and healthy habits that last a lifetime, and it changed my life forever." Now I know what you're thinking to yourself. Does physical activity really relate to school performance, or is he just telling me that so I'll work out more? Well, let's look at this case study. This case study looked at supplementing small increments of class time with exercise and the effect it had on school performance, and they looked at all this information over a 3-year period. The trial was entitled Physical Activity Across the Curriculum and used cluster randomization among 24 schools to examine the effects physical activity would have on BMI and academic achievement. The Academically oriented physical activities were intended to be a vigorous or moderate intensity and last approximately 10 minutes and were specifically designed to supplement content in mathematics, language arts, geography, history, spelling, science, and health as demonstrated with the chart on the right. The study followed roughly 700 boys and 700 girls for 3 years. During a 3-year period, students who engaged in physical activity lessons on average improved their academic achievement by 6%, while the control groups exhibited a 1% decrease. Now, if you look a little closer at the graph on the right, the biggest increases were seen in math, while the biggest decreases were seen in reading. Now, while this is only a small sample size, this just goes to show how big exercise can play when it comes to cognitive ability and student school performance. Now, we're going to nerd out a little bit on this slide, and I'm going to kind of show you the science of what makes exercising so important when it comes to impacting school performance. Now, a study conducted back in 2016 showed that students with higher levels of physical activity experienced higher quality sleep compared to those who were sedentary. This higher quality of sleep led to higher attention span and focus in the classroom and greatly improved school performance. Additionally, it's been found that exercise and strength training helps develop new nerve cells in the hippocampus. Now, I know you're thinking to yourself, what does that even mean? Well, the hippocampus is a brain structure that's embedded deep into the temporal lobe of your brain that plays a major role in learning and memory. So, in essence, the development of new nerve cells in this region from increased exercise makes learning and retaining information easier by having more connections in your brain to pull from later on. Finally, one of the most important things when it comes to exercise is its correlation to graduation rates. Studies show that aerobic and strength training have a positive correlation when it comes to school performance, which in turn relates directly to graduation rates. Over the years, studies have found that those who are physically active have higher graduation rates and a 56% higher chance of going to college or owning their own business one day. So while working out and staying active might feel like a chore at times, it can have benefits for years to come. In the next few slides, we're going to look at how exercise and strength training impact long-term health and how when combined with nutrition, it can be truly special. First, let's look at Tom Brady and how he exemplifies a lifetime of exercise and healthy eating. Seeing as I'm a Denver Broncos fan, I never like to give Tom Brady any credit whatsoever. But over the years, Brady has proven that he's not only one of the greatest athletes of all time, but that he takes care of his body as good as anyone in the business. Now, life for Brady wasn't always this easy, and before finding football and getting serious about his diet and lifting weights, he struggled to keep up athletically and wasn't exactly the picture of health. Even in his combine picture that you could see at the bottom of the slide, he just looked like another college student who went to class and had the occasional beer. Brady's freshman year in high school, his team went 0-8 and he hardly got any playing time, even playing on the JV team. Then he started to work more on strength training and conditioning and was being watched by pro scouts by his senior year. Brady went on to play for Michigan and then the New England Patriots in the NFL, where he's known as the greatest of all time with 7 Super Bowl victories. Now, early into Brady's playing career back in 2004, after about 4 years of being in the NFL, Brady was feeling the wear and tear of playing pro football, so he decided to make a concerted effort to pay more attention to his diet and exercise routine. This attention to detail led to Brady to having his own brand of marketing titled the Tb12 Method that highlights the aspects of keeping your body in tip-top condition with minimal strain on your muscles and a nutrition based mostly on plants and vegetables. The diet consists of 80% plant-based food with vegetables and grains, and the other 20% consists of organic lean protein with wild-caught fish or pasture-raised chicken. Tom Brady will start his 22nd season in the NFL this fall, which I find quite absurd, and it's quite the accomplishment seeing as he recently turned 45 years old. Brady has defied Father Time by working out with an array of conditioning and strength training regimens that help him stay in tip-top shape while preserving his body, along with his amazing diet. His whole career, people doubted him, yet his attention to detail when it comes to training and nutrition have not only prolonged his playing career, but have benefited his long-term health in ways that are immeasurable. Now let's look at a study done by the American Heart Association looking at exercise and cardiovascular disease risk. The American Heart Association looked at the effects of cardiorespiratory fitness, CRF, and how it affected the health of adolescents. Cardiorespiratory fitness refers to the capacity of the circulatory and respiratory systems to supply oxygen to skeletal muscle mitochondria for energy production needed during physical activity. The study consisted of several independent randomized control studies with over 900 participants and found that only 40% of adolescents aged 12 to 15 in the United States have healthy CRF, which can be positively affected through regular exercise. They found that moderate intensity activities for around 30 minutes 3 to 5 times per week can increase CFR by nearly 1 to 4% per year and help lower long-term risk for cardiovascular disease and diabetes. Additionally, within the study, they found that low or unhealthy CFR is a strong independent predictor of cardiovascular disease and of all-cause mortality in adults. They found that the earlier people start exercising, the lower the risk of developing long-term diseases, such as diabetes, atherosclerosis, and depression. So as you could see from the study, something as simple as working out for 30 minutes a day can save you a lifetime of problems later. Exercise and bone health. Now, while it's true that certain forms of working out, such as heavy lifting, can be hard on your joints, it can also be very beneficial for your long-term health as long as you're smart about it. Now, obviously, you don't want to be maxing out on squats every day. That's not what I'm saying. But implementing some weightlifting or resistance training into your routine can have a positive effect on long-term bone health. Now, according to the International Osteoporosis Foundation, about 22% of men and 46% of women aged 50 years will experience osteoporotic fractures during the remainder of their lives. Essentially, this is an inevitable consequence. What should be done to optimize peak bone mass is to maximize and increase bone mineral density during the first 25 years of life by participating in appropriate physical activity, including strength training, aerobic exercise, and stretching. Essentially, working out from an earlier age can help us avoid risks such as osteoporosis, which is essentially when your bones become brittle. It can help jumpstart those healthy habits from an earlier age to avoid childhood obesity and diabetes. Within the same study, they found that high-impact jumping activities with ground reaction forces from at least 3.5 to 8.8 are effective in increasing bone mineral density in adolescents, indicating that the most important factor is the intensity, not the duration of the stimulus. This has been linked to a decreased risk of osteoporosis and the formation of bone tumors. Now that we've established the importance of how exercise can affect us both mentally and physically, let's look at how nutrition plays into all this. First, we're going to look at protein. Evidence has shown that positive bone turnover response is highest when protein is consumed right after an intense workout. Some athletes, especially teenagers, are super active and play all these sports, which is amazing. But if they're not consuming enough protein and your metabolism is increased, then your body will start to burn muscle, which can lead to a bevy of other problems. That's why eating the right way is so important, because you can be the fittest person in the world, but if you're not giving your body the right foods to recover, then you're almost doing more damage than you are good. Proteins such as fish, unpasteurized chicken, Greek yogurt, peanut butter, tofu, and steak should be the staple items for any teenage athlete, because these will keep their energy high without the expense of burning muscle and causing bone loss. On the other hand, you have to be careful, because too much protein without much physical activity can throw your body into shock, and it causes a release of calcium from your bones that could be detrimental to some athletes and cause unintended fractures due to the lower calcium content in the bones. Now, roughly about 10 to 35% of your calories should come from protein. Next, let's look at carbohydrates and fats. Now, too many fats or sugars such as candy, pasta, fast food can cause your arteries to develop fatty plaques, which can lead to major complications such as stroke and pulmonary embolisms. While some people consider fats and carbs not essential and harmful for you, there are plenty of choices that can lead to long-term health benefits. Fats such as salmon, flaxseed, soybeans, walnuts, almonds, and avocados help you increase your good cholesterol, also known as your HDL or high-density lipoproteins, and lower your bad cholesterol, also known as your LDL, which is your low-density lipoprotein. These products are considered monosaturated or omega-3 fatty acids that the body is able to break down easily compared to things such as candy bars that are polysaturated fats that are harder to break down within the stomach. Carbs are the body's main source of energy, and they help aid in digestion by providing your body fiber and give you the energy your cells need to keep things such as your kidneys, brain, heart, and nervous system running smoothly. Carbs such as quinoa, oats, sweet potatoes, oranges, apples, blueberries are carbs that contain lots of natural sugar, which is much better for your body compared to the processed sugar seen in things such as white bread or regular pasta. The important thing is finding the right balance in your diet based on the amount of activity, and while it's not a perfect science, 45 to 65% of your calories should come from carbs, and about 25 to 35% should come from fats. Now, the last thing we're going to touch on is minerals. Minerals are vital to our body system because they assist the process of making enzymes and hormones that are essential to keeping our bodies in homeostasis. Minerals such as vitamin C and D are essential to bone health and digestion, and it's recommended we get roughly 12 to 1500 milligrams a day of calcium and around 600 international units of vitamin D. Now, while we can make most vitamins and minerals in the body to help sustain us in times of extreme metabolic stress, fat-soluble vitamins are key because these are vitamins we can only get from our diet, so it's essential we pay close attention to these foods that can help satisfy this need. The 4 fat-soluble vitamins are vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. The way I like to remember them is they spell out ADEK, A-D-E-K, and can be found in foods such as kale, spinach, fish, cheese, milk, carrots, cantaloupe, red peppers, almonds. I could go on and on. But these fat-soluble vitamins play a key role in maintaining some of the key processes in our bodies, such as vision, digestion, immune system, and even blood clotting. So while vitamins and minerals might seem like an afterthought when it comes to diet, they are the building blocks of what makes everything else work, and if they are kept in sufficient amounts, they can help prevent long-term health problems. Now, before we do some physical activity, let's touch on the 3 main points we've seen throughout this presentation. So when it comes to mental health and exercise, physical activity and weight training encourages improvements in mental health by decreasing anxiety and depression. It also helps people have a sense of purpose and meaning by getting involved with sports teams and other extracurricular activities. When it comes to school performance, exercise stimulates cognitive functioning, optimizes brain functioning, and improves sleep so students can perform better in the classroom. This leads to higher graduation rates and long-term success in the future. Now, the last thing we touched on was nutrition and the decreased disease risk long-term when it comes to exercising. Regular exercise from an early age decreases the risk of things such as atherosclerosis, diabetes, osteoporosis, and depression. And as we've seen throughout this presentation, nutrition is just as important as the exercise. Alright guys, now it's time to do some exercise, my favorite part of the presentation. So in the next slide, I'm going to demonstrate the 3 basic movements that you can use to kind of jumpstart your exercise routine. The 3 movements will be push-ups, squats, and planks. Alright guys, so we're going to take you through the 3 basic movements that we talked about earlier. So the first one I'm going to demonstrate is the squat. So important with the squat is we want to make sure we're about shoulder width apart, maybe a little farther. You don't want to have your feet straight, but you want to have them a little pointed out, almost like a 45-degree angle.
Now what's important with the squat is when I go down, I'm not slumping, right? I go down, I have my chest out, back straight, and as I go down, I'm going down to about 90 degrees. So a few of them look like this. So notice, I'm coming all the way up, I'm going straight down, keeping that chest up. All right, now let's talk about some push-ups. So push-ups, two of the main things is, again, we want to have it about shoulder width apart, my hands shoulder width apart. Now some people like to keep their feet in, but I like to have them about shoulder width apart as well. Now what's important is my frame here, so we don't want to be sagging. We also don't want to be in the downward dog position. Bad move. So I'm going to come here, I have a straight back. Now as I go down, I'm going to go down. So I always use where my nose touches the ground. I mean, you just want to go till you're flat. So if I'm doing them, I'm going all the way up, coming here, and again, make sure you're not sagging as you do this. All right, now that we've done the push-up, let's go into the last one, which is the plank. So with the plank, very similar to the push-up. So we're gonna get down. I like to keep my hands together, just kind of for some stability. So with this, we're gonna have our hands together. Again, you want your feet about shoulder width apart. They could be a little closer. So again, what's important with this is, see, I don't want this. I also don't want this. That's not gonna engage your core. The whole point of this plank is to help engage your core. So when I'm coming here, I'm right here, and I'm making sure I'm holding. Now, what's important with this is to make sure you're contracting your abs, okay? So you can't see, but what I'm doing is I'm engaging my core, because if you don't engage your core, it's gonna go straight into your back, okay? Usually you hold this for about 30, 45, 50 seconds, sometimes a minute. As you get better, you could hold it longer, okay? So with all three of these exercises, I mean, some people think you have to go to the gym, but that's not the case. You could do this from the comfort of your own home. You could do this during a commercial break while watching TV. You can almost do these three exercises anywhere. And that not only engages your core, but works on your quads, your hamstrings, works on those core muscles that you use every day that can help anyone become more athletic, help in everyday life, and just help your overall health. All right, now that we know the three basic movements, I'm going to explain the idea behind what an EMOM is. So an EMOM stands for every minute on the minute. So what does that mean? Every minute on the minute means you're doing a set amount of exercises for essentially a minute or less than a minute. So say I'm going to do 5 push-ups, 5 sit-ups, and a 20-second plank in that minute. Now whatever time I have left in that minute, that's my rest period. So if I get all those exercises done in the matter of 30 seconds, then I have that next 30 seconds to rest. Now once it hits a minute, then I'm going to start that process all over again. The nice thing about EMOMs is that you could do as many minutes as you want, and you could kind of tailor it to how many reps you want to do. So if you're advanced, you could do more reps. If it's too easy, you could add more reps. If it's too hard, you could downgrade the reps, even from minute to minute. So I'm going to kind of demonstrate with the 3 movements we did. So for an example, I'm going to do 5, 5, and 5. So I'm going to do 5 push-ups, 5 squats, and then about a 10-second plank, just to kind of show you guys what it looks like. So let's pretend I'm starting my minute. Ready, go. So I'm going to start with push-ups. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with good form. I'm going to come back up. I'm going to go into that squat. Remember, straight back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm going to go into that plank. Remember, good form, straight back. Good. I'm holding that for 10 seconds. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, I have about 25 seconds left in that rotation. Now, in about 20 seconds, I'm going to go through that rotation again. Essentially, what this is doing is I'm increasing my aerobic exercise capacity, and I'm kind of using all different parts of my body. So I'm working different muscle groups without targeting one or just a few at a time. No one really likes running for long periods of time, right? This kind of gives you some variety, so you can kind of mix and match what you want to do. So here's the second rotation. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, back up, I'm into squats. Good, 5, back into that plank. Good, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, good. And we'll cut it there, but essentially that's just an example of a 2-minute EMOM. Now you can make it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, and you could switch up the exercises, because no matter what you're doing or where you are, you could kind of tailor to this to what you want to do. Now, what's very important with EMOMs is you don't want to overwork your body, and you want to make sure that you're always staying safe and stretching before. Now, I like to do these about 3 to 5 times a week. Starting out, I recommend you do it about 3 times a week, maybe 2 to 5 minute EMOMs, and kind of work your way up from there. In terms of the regular exercises, say you're like, oh, I'm not quite in shape for an EMOM. Well, that's okay. Say you could set a number of reps for the day. Say I'm going to do 50 squats and 50 push-ups for the day. I could do 25 squats in the morning, 25 push-ups in the morning, then at night I could do the other 25, right? So it's just setting goals that are obtainable. Remember, the biggest thing is don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to your own goals and yourself, because remember, you're measuring against yourself and you're not going to be the next Olympic athlete. And if you are, then great. But what's important here is getting out, getting physical exercise, improving that mental health, decreasing disease risk, and kind of improving yourself as an individual. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you learned a lot.
Now that we're all experts on EMOMs and working out, let's look at some of the community outreach programs that can help get our message further and increase exercise across the country. Now, the first one we have here is called Project Fit America. This program provides schools the proper training and supplies to encourage physical fitness. The program is implemented over a 2-year period and provides state-of-the-art equipment and training to teachers and volunteers. This could change the culture of school system across Florida and lead to more students participating in regular physical activity, which could be huge for the future. Now, the second one we have here is the Florida Department of Health. They help provide free resources on muscle strength and aerobic exercise that can be done from the comfort of your own home. This includes training schedules and instructional videos that help outline the importance of physical activity and how it benefits people's long-term health. Now, this last one, called the National Fitness Foundation, is my favorite. Established back in 2010, it was created to empower Americans throughout the lifespan to adopt a healthy lifestyle through physical activity and healthy eating habits. The Presidential Fitness Program in schools and the Sports and Nutrition Coalition are part of the foundation and help organize physical activity programs and community events that brings people together to help create an environment that breeds healthy habits. So the thing I love about this foundation is that it not only brings people together to help exercise, but it teaches proper nutrition, and it gets people in all one place to kind of help encourage each other to practice these healthy eating habits. Now, as we come to the conclusion of this presentation, I wanted to give you guys some take-home messages. So the first one being, having a combination of aerobic and strength training exercises can boost mental health and give you the purpose while being part of something bigger, like a sports team or group of people. Exercise is an excellent way to get away from everything and reset your perspective despite what might be going on around you. Secondly, the improvement in sleep, graduation rates, and cognitive ability is amplified when you incorporate physical activity into your schedule. The increased activity gives you more energy and leads to a higher graduation rate and brighter future. Thirdly, physical activity and proper nutrition helps decrease the risk of long-term health issues such as osteoporosis, cardiovascular issues, diabetes, and depression by promoting bone mineral density and increasing cardiopulmonary fitness. Next, we looked at the 3 basic movements that can be done from the comfort of your own home, and I know you guys killed it. We looked at push-ups, squats, planks, and we saw how this can be the foundation needed to help jumpstart you on your road to a healthier lifestyle. Now, lastly, getting involved in the school and community events and involving family members is important to breeding a culture of motivation and physical activity. The impact of transforming your lifestyle can inspire others around you and have a chain effect that can truly make a difference for the next 100 years. Now, before I end my presentation, I'm going to leave you guys with a few lasting quotes that really touch home for me. As you can see on the right, never stop getting better. I truly believe that. I truly believe there's always something you could be improving on, and I think that's what drives me and drives us to be better versions of ourselves. So the first quote I have here reads, "If something stands between you and your success, move it, because the only one who could stop you from reaching your goals is you." That was a quote from Dwayne Johnson, and I think that's really true because the only one person that's stopping you from being the person you want to be is yourself. Another quote here, it's probably my favorite. It reads, "Some people say life is measured by your success, power, popularity, and your ability to be the best. The reality is life's greatest successes come in the moments when we touch the lives of others and make them realize their own greatness." This quote was by Rick Lozando. He's actually one of my former coaches, and I think this really touches home as well because how you could affect the people around you says a lot about who you are. It means you're in a good spot yourself. So thank you guys, and I hope that you can be part of the change and can help shape the future of exercise, mental health, and school performance so that we could lead a better future.